This is the story of when I rebuilt an ancient jungle warrior's shelter using nothing but what nature gave me. There were no metal tools, no rope or fire tools allowed. All I had were my bare hands, my instinct, and most importantly, the silence of the jungle itself. It all began when I came across this very site over 2 years ago now. Back then, it was nothing but a crumbling pile of stones hidden deep within a remote jungle market in Borneo. This place was once a sanctuary for warriors of a forgotten tribe, who lived in harmony with this ancient rainforest. Their shelters carefully constructed from natural materials, seamlessly blended into the lush foliage, providing refuge from the elements and hiding their presence from any outsiders. They lived a life of simplicity, relying on the bountiful resources provided by nature. But tragically, these proud warriors eventually vanished, leaving behind only a few remnants of their existence. Determined to pay homage to their legacy, I set out to rebuild one of their shelters using only the materials and techniques they would have used centuries ago. With no metal tools or modern conveniences, this task proved to be a true test of my abilities. But driven by respect and admiration for these forgotten people, I refused to use anything other than what nature provided. The vast jungle around me became my resource and my challenge. As I ventured deeper into its embrace, I could sense the spirits of the ancient warriors watching over me, guiding my steps and testing my resolve. The ground was still. No sound, no wind, just the thick jungle watching me. I had one mission: rebuild a shelter that once protected the warriors of a forgotten tribe. I had to discover what had made this place special, what kind of man it had sheltered. I had to understand their design. My search led me to ancient designs drawn in cave charcoal and etched on tree bark. These symbols held the secrets of the warriors' world, revealing how they not only survived but thrived in this unforgiving environment. I found patterns in the way they built, a language in their structures. I realized these warriors didn't just disappear, they vanished intentionally, leaving behind only shadows of their world behind. I wanted to bring that world back, wanted to understand why this place was built here. So I returned to the riverbank and examined the land. And then I saw it. The perfect spot for a jungle dwelling. Elevated, protected, and camouflaged. But to get there, I had to venture through the thickest part of the jungle, a place untouched by modern eyes. Pushing aside thick vines, I finally emerged into a clearing. The spot was exactly as I had envisioned. It was perfect. The first material I searched for wasn't wood, it was memory. What would the warrior need? Camouflage, airflow, elevation, and safety. I knew these things, but what he needed was what they used. That took me back to those ancient markings, back to the way these warriors lived. I remembered the pattern, the fan palm. I had seen it in other places before, used by other cultures around the world. It was always used the same way, horizontally, overlapping. That way the water slides off without collecting. But to do this, I needed a machete. Unfortunately, I didn't have one, so I did the next best thing. I stripped the fronds from the trunk, soaked them in the river, and let the current do the work, bending the stiff trunks until they snapped cleanly. Now I had my foundation, the skeleton of the shelter, but I had not even started the roof yet, and I had a problem. I needed another material, something soft and flexible, but also durable, able to bind the framework together. Looking around, I spotted a tangle of vines, perfect for weaving between the rigid fans. With each strike, I felt their power, a reminder that I was working with forces that had stood the test of time. My heart raced with anticipation as I wove the vines through the gaps. The pattern emerged slowly at first, then with increasing speed as I found my rhythm. It was mesmerizing to see the transformation from a jumble of materials to a coherent structure. But the most incredible part was the feeling of connection to the past. It was as if I were channeling the knowledge of those ancient builders, guided by their spirits through my own hands. Suddenly, I heard a shout from somewhere deep in the jungle, a primal sound that echoed through the trees. I froze, unsure if it was a warning or simply part of the jungle's symphony. Taking a deep breath, I continued my work, determined to finish before nightfall. Hours passed in a blur of movement as I wove and secured, reinforced and adjusted. Just as the light began to fade, I completed the framework of the roof. My entire being was filled with a profound sense of accomplishment. In that moment, I understood what the jungle demanded from me. It wasn't just about building a shelter. It was about becoming part of the jungle's story, about honoring the legacy of those who had walked this path before me. As I looked up at the skeletal frame against the darkening sky, I knew my task was far from over. I still had to fill in the gaps, strengthen the structure, and transform it into a livable space. But for now, I allowed myself a moment of quiet pride. I had come this far, and I knew that with each step I took, I was becoming more attuned to the rhythms and demands of the jungle. With renewed vigor, I gathered more vines, leaves, and materials, preparing to continue the construction. The sun beat down on my shoulders, but I barely noticed the discomfort. I was too focused on the task at hand, too immersed in the process of creation. I worked tirelessly, driven by an inner force that seemed to guide my movements. I wove and tied, hammered and shaped, each action echoing the movements of those ancient builders who had come before me. Then as I reached up to secure a particularly stubborn vine, I felt a sharp pain in my finger. Blood trickled down my arm, a stark contrast against the rich brown earth. In that instant, I felt a deep sense of connection to those who had toiled here in the past. Their struggles and triumphs became my own. As I continued my work, my determination only grew stronger. With each passing hour, the shelter took shape. The walls rose higher, the roof became more secure, and the structure as a whole exuded an air of stability and resilience. I had put everything into this, my sweat, my focus, my very essence. And as the final rays of sunlight filtered through the trees, I stood back to admire my work. The shelter, though simple in design, was a testament to human ingenuity and the power of the human spirit. It was a sanctuary, a refuge, a symbol of resilience in the face of the untamed wilderness. And as I stepped inside, I felt a sense of peace and accomplishment wash over me. The hard-packed earth floor cradled my feet, and the sturdy walls offered a comforting sense of enclosure. The roof, a masterpiece of woven vines and leaves, formed a natural dome that promised protection from the elements. It was at that moment I knew I had succeeded. I had not merely constructed a shelter, I had become part of the jungle's narrative. I had honored the legacy of the ancient warriors who had walked this land before me. But as darkness fell and the sounds of the jungle grew louder, a new sensation crept into my awareness. Fear. Fear of what lurked in the shadows. Fear of the wild symphony that surrounded me. I huddled inside the shelter, seeking solace in its protective embrace. Then a sudden noise, a crash, a roar, sent shivers down my spine. Was it a wild animal, a predator testing its den, or was it something more, some remnant of the past come to claim me? I trembled, realizing that this place, this jungle, had its own stories, its own spirits. I was not alone. In the stillness that followed, I could hear my own heartbeat echoing in my ears. I strained to listen, trying to decipher the secrets the jungle was whispering. And then I heard it again, a soft rustle, like the movement of unseen leaves. Curiosity, or perhaps foolishness, got the better of me. I stepped out of the shelter and into the darkness. The jungle pressed in around me, thick and heavy. The tall trees loomed like silent sentinels, their branches intertwined in a dense canopy overhead. I tried to call out, but my voice caught in my throat. The silence of the jungle was deafening. Just when my fear threatened to consume me, I saw it, a pair of luminous eyes peering at me from the shadows. Startled, I stumbled back. And in that moment, I understood. This place, this jungle, was not meant to be tamed, controlled, or conquered. It was meant to be respected, revered, and celebrated. I had come to learn from the jungle, to understand the ways of the ancient warriors, and I had done just that. And as I looked up at the shelter I had built, I saw not just a structure made of leaves and vines, but a symbol of human resilience and connection to the natural world. In that moment, I knew that my journey had come full circle. I had come to the jungle seeking knowledge and understanding, and the jungle had given it to me. I returned to the shelter, its sturdy walls offering me comfort and reassurance. I spent the night inside, listening to the sounds of the jungle, feeling the presence of the ancient warriors all around me. And in the morning, when I emerged, the sky was clear, the birds were singing, and the jungle seemed to welcome me as one of its own. I had faced my fears, embraced the unknown, and in doing so, I had found a new sense of strength and wisdom. So if you too find yourself lost in the wilderness, facing your own fears and challenges, remember the lessons of the jungle. Respect the forces around you, connect with the land and its history, and never lose sight of the strength that lies within you. Who knows what ancient wisdom you might uncover, or what personal growth you might experience along the way?